All right, we're going to continue on now with another whole selection. This is actually a whole door jamb. This is an ugly piece in the middle of it, but it's actually rounded with some really nice elements, about 8 foot tall. I'm going to use the pointer instead. I have about 4 of these 7 foot, 6 foot tall steel casement windows that you would find normally in a houses in the 1950s. And those make nice greenhouses. One guy made a greenhouse out of those, sold the greenhouse for $50,000. Over there, what you're seeing is Gothic church windows. There's 4 for the sides, 7 foot tall. And then behind it, the door, which is about 12 foot tall. And way in the back over here, you're going to see the Gothic element that's 7 foot tall and 13 feet wide. And that sits on top of the windows that are next to it. Wonderful set. Over there, you'll now see some that are actually just arc window tops. Inside, you'll see doors, 8 foot tall pocket doors. Some of these pocket doors in this case are from Quincy, Illinois area. And you'll see some tall doors, 8 foot, 9 foot, 10 foot tall doors. In cypress, red cypress in that case. You'll see that's the back side of that really cool arch door that we looked at a moment ago. I probably could pull that up again. There it is. This door right here, which has these really nice circles and stuff built into it, really deep jamb. That's the same one that you saw over there. As far as the types of windows and stuff, if you're looking at being able to do a chapel or something like that, that's a whole set right there that you can actually do the entire chapel. The end walls, the side walls, the door coming in on the side, all that's in a nice big package. Came out of the Missouri-Iowa border. In fact, I think it came out of a different church than the other pieces I had. This is a really cool door with an arch top built into it and glass. Right there, they had a nest in there for a while. Some vandals broke out the glass. This is showing you the trim that goes on the Gothic church windows. I actually have all the trim for it too, which is very hard to make otherwise. Again, you saw some of the doors that are out of the that would be the King William district again, out of San Antonio. Those are probably 10 foot tall, but you can see on the sides how deep those side jambs are. You can actually put bookcases on them. Again, you can see on the end the same thing. They're really nice and deep with a functioning transom. And that transom, you can see the hinges are at the top of the door, so they actually open the window and let airflow. As you go down below, you'll see many more doors I have, all sorts of different kinds of doors. And we saw some of these screens a little earlier. Some of those screen sets are 10, 12 of them, all the same size, ready to go. You can see on the doors, 5 panel, 6 panel, lots of different selections, but as you look at them, you can see how big some of these things are. I'm going to go from a standpoint of how, there's literally 7 foot wide fan light windows. We've got corbels sitting on the shelves. This is pretty cool. It actually is an elevator panel out of an elevator, and it's dirty right now, but it's actually in walnut. Down below, you see a bunch of really cool arched top, very tall windows. And as a matter of fact, I believe you've got a picture of me standing next to it, maybe to show the height. There you go. So you can see how tall those windows are. And they came out of Clark County Courthouse in Missouri many, many years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago probably. So all the way along, you can see there's a set of maybe 4 of those, 2 different styles. One's got in this case, the 9 pane, and the other one has got the arch top in it. I've got one more of these over here at this warehouse as well, in very good shape. Up above right here, you're going to see a bunch of hand railing. And the handrails, all different styles. Now code says you can't have more than 2 1/4 inches, but once upon a time, you could have wider handrails and narrower handrails. And so there's a wide selection of them over there. As you work over here, we got some of our many things we got stacked up on just shelves. And then this is Craftsman style. This is again out of the Sears catalogs. Again, 1920. No, I think this is actually in the 1910 edition. Some we have in oak, 2-panel doors. As you can see, I have a lot of them. And I have them under varnish. I have them under paint. Again, the warning, under paint, maybe lead-based paint. You have to be able to determine that and decide how you want to deal with it once you buy the doors. The screen doors are great with the grills on them. You can see some of the grills here showing. And some of the doors actually are pretty darn wide. Screen doors, a set like this, that's easily 3 foot wide. These arched screen doors, excellent, excellent. Very hard to find. Over here, you'll see a pair of those. And then between the two of them, I think it makes about a 5 foot opening and over 7 foot tall. Some of this type of stuff, when you start trying to find it, it's almost impossible to find. We'll have one of a kind. So don't think we're going to have 3 or 4 or 5 sets of these. That's going to be one set. That's it. Over here, you can see some incredible side lights where I've actually ended up standing in front of them and I'm not even able, it's 8 foot tall. So those have got to be at least 10 foot tall windows. And I've got a door, side lights, and those kind of heights. Over here, what you see is a really unusual piece. It's actually a window, ticket window set. Goes on top of the bar for Train Depot. That's out of the St. Louis Nashville line. And it was on top of the wall, half wall, and you go up there and get your tickets. You can see in there. It'd be nice in a house to use someplace. Next time, oops, wow. Move that back over there. Some of this stuff that you're going to see is incredible sizes on it, just unbelievable. And this is one of them right here. It actually is a side light. And that's got to be, those panels are each 4 foot tall. And that's 8 foot just of glass. Plus, so it's going to be 11 foot high side lights for the front door. And I have the front door as well. Down below, these are the arched windows that came out of the Refugio High School, Refugio, Texas. And that's spelled like totally different than it sounds. This is some French corbels. You saw some of that stuff. I have a lot of that. Drawers. These are already made out of good wood, have the handles on them, make the hole, put the drawer in it, use this modern side rails on it. They'll work for another 100 years. Some of this stuff, that's the beauty of it. It's made to last for beyond our lifetimes. You can see by these pieces here, I'm standing in front of, they're about 4 feet tall. That's what goes underneath these. So if you put that with that, you got to have a wall at least 11 foot to 12 foot tall to hold the two together, one above the other. Not many people have that big of a house. Some of these, for example, are 9 foot tall arches over here. And again, it takes a 10 foot wall minimum to set that into. But those are designed so that you can, there's 2 of them, I believe, there. You can actually rebuild those still. Over here, you'll see me standing up, just kind of show you just rows of doors. There's all sorts. That's the Holy Cross door. You see the big cross on it. That's one religion, versus over here you'll see the baby cross with the Bible open on the bottom. That actually depicts another religion, both saying I'm a Christian household. Most people don't understand this symbolism is built into a lot of the early houses. And there's even some doors I have out of Quincy, Illinois, I'll show you, that are for the Mafia family. And the Mafia had a certain symbolism in their doors. They were all made the same when they moved out of Chicago down to Quincy, Illinois. Over here you see these are entire sets out of oak. The doors, transom windows, side lights, and there's about 7 or 8 of those. They're done in arts and crafts style in oak, and those came out of the school in Gonzales, Texas, the elementary school. Some of these doors you can see over here come with their jambs on them and everything else. When you start talking about window sets, for example, it might be one house all packaged together. They're all sitting together. We also do have some cabinets and stuff like that. Not very many though. Those are called bulkheads. Now over here, what you see is trim. Just literally hundreds and hundreds of pieces of trim just in sections like this. Because you look at each stack has 20 pieces per stack, and there's 100 pieces just in that one section. You start talking about 1,000 different possible pieces of trim, and that's one tiny spot in the warehouse. There's me standing in the long aisle in the warehouse. So Over here, for example, in the corner, this is all lath that is on the roof normally, that all the metal roofing was screwed into. And those pieces, in that case, of cypress. You see the length on these. Some of these are 15, 20-foot long pieces. And there's at least, I'm going to say, 400 or 500 pieces in these stacks just in this one end of the building, maybe more. As you look at some of this stuff, you're going to see the different types of flooring. I have some stacks of flooring with oak. We may have 200-300 pieces of oak, but it's only going to be about 500 square feet of it. At the most, maybe it takes more than that sometimes to make that many square feet. This is trim. Some of the many types of trim for around the doors and windows. Very hard stuff to find. Crown. I have a story to tell you about this. We'll talk about that if I ever get a chance to see you, but that's actually, try to identify it. I won't tell you what it is right away, but once you know what it is, you'll never forget. This is, again, more of the trim for around windows and doors, all the way through black walnut in this case. Big, long pieces, 6 inches wide. That comes from places up north. We didn't make that much of that in Texas. You can see the size of the warehouse, about 52,000 square feet under roof. In some of these sections, you'll see there's 1x12s. You'll see a bunch of other types of materials. The idea behind it is we're going to go through section after section. Look at this racks of just how many pieces of trim you're going to find. Some of these, there's tiny pieces, but they're corner round, edges, front edges. In this kind of trim here, this is actually a 6-inch wide oak crown, and it's actually been glued to pine on the end of it. And this was done 120 years ago. And the glue is still good. That's that only way you put oak outside was to have pine behind it so it wouldn't warp. You're going to see stacks, literally stacks of trim like this. There might be, you might find 10, 15 pieces that are still virgin, never been used before, still don't have paint on them. There's hundreds of pieces like that in there. So as you're looking at some of this trim, you say, oh, I need to trim out 10 windows. Some of these stacks are just one house. It's all the windows, all of the window trim for all the windows in the entire house can be in one stack. So it makes it easy to match them all. You can see me standing by some of these. They're just incredible piles. Now in the long rows that you're seeing down below here, this is flooring on each side. There'll be stacks of flooring. It might be 100, 200 square foot to a stack. Not big stacks, 300, 400 square foot at the most. But all this kind of trim that you're looking at, if you go to the store and try to buy it today in real wood, it's extremely expensive. The beams, you'll see a lot of these are 6x6s, 6x8s. I've got scattered numbers of them. In this case over here, it's actually a black walnut box beams. And they are incredibly cool once you go ahead and sand them up a little bit and oil them. You'll see 4x4s. This is out of Indianola. That's longleaf pine. And in that case, it actually was about 1910 circa when they took the whole town apart. I told you about more sinks. There's tons of sinks like that over there. Entire stairwells. That one's got dibs on it for the moment. This is over here. Actually, I use these to make a table with. These are actually giant oak crowns for giant columns. I told you about windows. Well, we got us a few windows. These are all sashes. Now, sash is the glass with the wood around it. A window is typically considered with the jamb on it. So this is just sashes. Some of these are for casement windows, all different kinds. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, let me go back over here. I think there's even more. If I can find my cursor, there it is. Okay. In these same areas, you see sinks. Oh, and tile. We have a gigantic pile of remnant tile. Must be thousands of pieces of just different kinds, boxes of tile that are still in the box. Down here you see plinth blocks with bottoms of doors, and that's for wide trim, 3 and 4 inch wide trim in the old houses, 1890 circa houses. Some more of the fire makers there. They actually are just heaters, but if you don't know what you're doing, you can actually light up your little dress with those things. They were pretty hot, real flames in the houses. Nowadays you don't see them very much. This is again a marble, Corinthian marble, for example. And you'll see a lot of this in here is 2x8s that we have, 2x8s, and then longer stock that is actually trim. She's taking some nice long shots. These are 16-foot pieces of crown. And if you look in here, oh my goodness, it looks like a mess, but it's actually fairly organized once you look at it and get a chance to see it all. Some of this stuff, if you have questions, write them down in the bottom of these videos. Give us an idea. All right, we're going to show you some more next time. Please get in touch and plan for this all the way through till Memorial Day weekend. Ciao.